The story, which I don't even know if you know this, is a good story because now, especially in this time when diversity is finally becoming like a really important thing, that role I wrote as I said, Ari would hire an assistant, and we don't know who he would hire, whether they're black, whether they're Asian, whether they're gay. We have no idea what it is, so let's get the best actor.
Let's get the funniest people.
And Rex came in and blew it away, and Connolly seems to have told me a story that I didn't know, that you worked for a casting director?
Is that true, Rex?
Yes, I worked for commercial casting directors, so they cast commercials.
But you weren't acting, or?
Oh, no, I totally was acting.
But that was a side job.
Yeah, that was my side job.
Right. So do you remember when the part came to you or any of that stuff?
Oh, I remember all of it.
Tell us.
The first thing you need to know, especially because you brought up my job as an assistant, is I did 5 years of research without knowing I was doing it, right? Like, when I watched season 1 of Entourage and I loved it. And then when they released the breakdown for Lloyd and I saw the sides, I was like, oh, this seems really easy. Like, I totally get this. Like, it was my life. And weirdly enough, I guess it was that easy. I'd been living that life, and then they gave me lines that sort of like jived with what my life was like, and so it all worked out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do remember when you came in for the audition, and it was just like, you know, there's a couple of people who've come in. I said this to Emmanuel too, where it's like, oh fuck, we're gonna have to figure out a lot for this guy because it's really great. And honestly, that's before I ever saw you with Jeremy, which was an amazing combination. What was your working relationship like with Jeremy?
It was great. There was a lot of respect. And, you know, I don't think Jeremy suffers fools gladly. And so I just knew this guy respected me as an actor and that we were going to have a great relationship, and we did.
Yeah. And I mean, Jeremy talked about when he was here a couple of weeks ago, you know, he'd wake up and read these lines, and everybody always asks now, could this be done today? Did you, and it's okay, you can say whatever you want. Were you offended by stuff that you read, or?
No. I never was offended by anything I read. I thought that Ari was sort of like an equal opportunity offender. He said horrible things to women. He said horrible things to black people. He said horrible things to me. And I never took any of it personally because it was in the script. I never thought Jeremy was saying that to Rex.
You just thought Doug was an asshole.
No. I thought Doug was a really good writer.
Thank you. You know, because people... I always look at it, when I look back at it, I always go, yeah, you know, no one should speak like that. But Jeremy and the scene, which I think a lot of people remember, which you have the Fast and the Furious line, but it really is one of these great scenes for both Ari and Lloyd, where you're kind of the shoulder to cry on, where he has to get to talk to him. And do you remember when you got that script?
Yeah, you know, I that was season 2, episode 13, and I'd done several episodes, but like, I don't know if you remember, in episode 5 or 6, I literally had one line, which was, John Cryer on line 3. And so, by the way, I don't know why, but if you watch the DVD, for some reason, when they did the closed captioning, I guess they didn't have the rights to John Cryer's name or something. So
what?
It says like Mike Horner on line 3. It says something really weird.
That is weird as hell. You know, John Cryer was in a short film of mine. That's probably why that came up. But, you know, that is one of the things also, like, your audition was probably not a lot of drama at all. It was probably just a simple little funny thing. And again, you killed it and were so funny. But when you get into those scenes where all of a sudden you're going, okay, here's a dramatic scene, we have no idea how it's going to go. And I do remember that day, and I was like, wow, this is awesome, because it was.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to say with the John Cryer line was, at this point in my life and career, I'd had the experience of having one line in an episode, right? And so for me to get that script and like go through the pages and say, I'm in 10 different scenes in this episode. And then I thought, oh, and look, I have this long sort of speech to give. I was like, oh, they are taking a chance on me. They're trusting me to see if I can rise to the occasion. And I said, I better fucking rise to the occasion.
Well, you did. You did for sure. And that's the thing. I don't even think about that. When I was writing, I never thought, oh, I wonder if it's going to work. It was just like, I was loving the character and loving the dynamics between you guys. And fortunately, you were able to deliver, and you did. And like, how did life change when you came on the show? Was it a big shift, or?
Well, it ended up being a big shift. It changed my life. You know, I was what they call in Hollywood a nobody, an unknown, and whatever. I accept that as the truth. yeah, I mean, now people yell Lloyd at me while I'm walking down Sunset
That's what I was
Boulevard.
going to ask you. Right, I was going to say, like, if people say tell Sloan, I said, but up, I'm guessing you get a few Lloyds a day.
Yeah. I mean, people are driving by me while I'm walking on the sidewalk and they'll yell out their window. And I'm like, why don't you pull over and have a conversation with me? But whatever.
You know what? It's awesome. I mean, Connolly will tell you that usually they yell, "Hey, E, you're a bitch." And,
Yeah.
what Connolly,
When they're feeling like they're in a good mood, yeah.
so it's good. There really was this universal love for Lloyd. There really was. I've never heard anybody not tell me they don't love Lloyd, who, ultimately started to go and kind of branch out of his own. And, a lot of people ask me, like, what would Lloyd do in the if there was a sequel or there was a reboot or anything like that? I mean, would you be in? I'm asking you.
Look
like,
at Doug. He's trying to pitch you. Tell him to talk to your agent.
well, I'm trying to convince him. By the way, that's what Rex is going to say. Like, listen, I'm
He'd
trying
be
to
a big
say.
agent.
If I'm
He'd
available,
be a
if he's
big agent,
available.
wouldn't he?
He'd what?
I think he'd be a big agent.
100%. And he would have taken
maybe
over.
a manager.
Yeah,
Maybe a manager.
Be great
Maybe
to
he
see.
partnered up, and he's my partner at the Murphy Group.
Oh, that'll be good.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have so many characters on the show. Obviously, it always is like, how do you get everybody in? But if we did a reboot, everyone has been texting me, where's Lloyd? Where is he going to be? What's he going to do? And I'd like to see him above Ari at some point. I think that would be amazing. Like, Ari has to try to make a deal with him,
That would be interesting.
So did you and Jeremy have any kind of relationship off camera? And I don't mean anything weird. I'm just saying, like...
No, I know what you mean. Not really. I don't know if Jeremy's ever going to listen to this, but
Never.
I used to, as a joke, tell people that I ran into Jeremy at a party at the Roosevelt once, and I tried to hang out with him, and I realized, oh no, this guy doesn't like me hanging out with him at a party because I don't have a vagina. And so I was like, okay, I get it. This guy likes me at work, but does not want to hang out with me at a party. And once that penetrated my brain, I was like, okay, I know how to deal with this guy now.
Yeah, I don't think Jeremy wanted to hang out with Connolly at parties either.
But is it possible that, I mean, listen, come on, and it would, to a certain extent, it would happen if Jerry and Dillon and Adrian and I were out, people connect you together, and it would kind of freak people out. I mean, I got to imagine that you and Jeremy Piven standing at the bar draws a lot of eyeballs. Right?
Well, are you telling me that's why he wanted to avoid me? I
I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to defend Jeremy. No, you're right. He probably didn't want to hang out with you. He walks right by me too, so that's okay.
Yeah. Well, Rex, if you ever see me at a party and you want to hang out with me, I'm perfectly happy.
Doug's happy to hang out with you.
I don't go to parties. I don't really even leave my house, even pre-COVID. I was never a big partier, but
we always said this when we were doing the show. Rex has about as thick a skin as anybody that walked the halls of Entourage. I mean, some of these things, and you could tell. And you can tell when somebody's saying, no, it doesn't bother me, and it bothers them. I would look at Rex and go, wow, he just doesn't care. He just does not give a shit if it's funny. He does not say it.
There was a day we were on set, and Kevin Connolly was looking at me, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy thinking? He's clearly thinking something about me. And so I'm like, dude, what are you thinking right now? And he would not tell me.
what were you thinking, Kevin? Do you remember
Well,
this? Connolly?
anyway, let me just finish
Yeah.
the story, and then you tell me what you were thinking. So, for some reason, I thought, I think I can kind of read his mind in this moment, and I know, the gist of what he's thinking, but I can't put it in words. A season or two later, I'm doing a scene. It's the one where I'm basically telling Ari he better, give me a raise or a promotion or, I'm out of there. And then I leave the scene, and then Gary Cole's character says, "Tough queer." And I thought that's what Kevin Connolly was thinking in that moment.
I was thinking and I was like, you're right. I was searching for, is he just trying to not give a shit? And I was like, no, he just doesn't.
Wait, you remember this?
I do. I like to think I was more subtle, but apparently I wasn't. But I was looking at him to seeing because I was probably, I was in a lot of them, not all of them, obviously they did, but I was in a lot of Ari Lloyd scenes, and it was some scene where, Ari Gold is ripping into Lloyd, and I had the thought, I thought, like I said, I thought I was more subtle, but I remember thinking dude's just tough. He just doesn't give a shit.
So my question is, though, do you think Rex was bodying you or as Jordan Belfort told us, peanutting you? Do you think he was going what the fuck are you looking at? Or what?
No. I honestly didn't realize until this moment that he knew that I was kind of trying to size it up. But you're right. You're right, Rex. That's what it was. I was trying
Well,
to figure it out.
my memory of this situation's a little fuzzy too, but I could swear that I said, I know you're thinking something about me right now. What is it?
Rex, is it possible? Did you ever take edibles during the filming or no?
Oh, Doug has developed a horrible drug problem post Entourage.
Listen, I have ingested edibles in my life, but a couple things happen. The first thing is I get super fucking horny. And then the other thing is when I finally go to sleep, I don't wake up for ages. And so because I know that I might miss, my appointment tomorrow if I take an edible, I'm really cautious about when I take it. So I did not.
No. Well, I think, because what I remember about you, Rex, on the show, you were, there's actors, i.e. Kevin Dillon, who have a lot of fucking issues and stuff. I'm just kidding. But, Rex, you were. You never had a complaint. And I used to go, what is Rex thinking? And not about this, because to be honest with you, when you write characters. I'm not thinking, this is not how I think anymore. Drama-y. They're all characters. So I just write. So I never thought, is Rex offended by it? It just never entered my brain until we started doing this podcast. But obviously, you want actors to feel like they have something to do, that they feel good about what their character does. You were never one of those actors that kind of complained or asked for more. You kind of showed up, did your job, and you were very close to the vest what was going on.
He's like Emmanuel that way.
Yeah. Was it a fun experience for you, forgetting the success of it? Was the work a fun job?
Yeah, Doug Ellin, it's some of the best writing I've ever had to contend with as an actor. It was super fun.
Thank you, Rex.
I
I
had
appreciate
an amazing time.
Well, I appreciate. I wasn't fishing for that compliment. Dillon looks for those, but I do appreciate it.
No, but whatever. It's not just the writing. I loved working with everybody on the show. All the actors were professional and nice, and I had a blast.
We had a good time.
Thank you, Rex.
Yeah.
It was a fun. It really was. It was a fun time. And then when you moved on after Entourage, you did a show that was, I don't know, kind of. I mean, you were one of the leads. How was
5 years on a show, right?
Yeah. It was called Young and Hungry. It was completely different. At this point, I'd really become accustomed to doing single camera. And then when they were like, now you have to tell a joke.
Right.
And I was like, what? How do you do that? But I learned, and I'm sort of proud of the work I did there too. But it took me a while to learn. It wasn't automatic for me at all.
And was that, because we talk about this a lot for actors out there, about offers versus auditions, which Connolly sadly has never. Me too. I've never gotten an offer. Neither has Connolly, but Dillon gets them
They
every.
offered me The Notebook, bro, so stop telling me.
Oh, but that was an inside
And
gig.
they offered me Johnny Q. Not an inside, it's a studio movie. 2 offers.
But
And
Dillon,
you were going to offer me Entourage, trust me.
I mean, Dillon gets offered shit all the time. But were you offered that show?
I was offered that.
Ooh.
I never met that writer, and for some reason, when he was writing that pilot, he envisioned me, Rex Lee, in that role. And then I had been on another show on ABC, and basically they had to let me go because they ran out of money, and the best way for them to save money was to fire some actors. And so, just by coincidence, the casting directors on the first show happened to be the casting directors on the second show, and so David was like, oh, we need someone like Rex Lee. And the casting people were like, well, we happen to know that he was just let go from his show, so he is free.
Yeah, we have someone just like Rex Lee.
Yes, exactly. And so they sent me the script, and it was really sweet, and it had heart. And I was like, oh, yeah, I want to play with you guys. Come on.
It's great. So
I have a question for both you, Doug, and Rex. Did Lloyd have a last name?
Yes, he did.
Should we leave this as a trivia question?
I honestly can't answer it. And I know he did.
Well, I'm probably going to make this a longer answer than it needs to be.
No, take your time.
There was an episode where Ari comes up to Lloyd's condo, and he's looking at the nameplates, and he's trying to find the buzzer. And for whatever reason, you and everyone else said, you get to choose the name. And I Googled all these names, and I came up with a name, and it was on the nameplate. But for some reason, that shot got cut out. And so that did not end up being Lloyd's last name. And for some reason, you just decided to give him my last name. So Lloyd's last name is Lee.
Do you remember what the name was on the nameplate? What it would have been?
It was Son, Lloyd's son.
Lloyd's son.
I like Lloyd Lee better.
I do too.
I was going to say, it's got a better ring to it.
So, Rex, there's an episode I want to talk about with another one of my favorite cameos, which is Will Sasso, who is a freaking comic genius. And the episode, which is interesting for anyone listening out there, Mad Men was one of my favorite shows. And there were some weird similarities in episodes that had nothing to do with either of us seeing those episodes. But there was an episode on Mad Men where Joan is like sold to Jaguar to get a deal done. And what we did on this show is where Ari is trying to sign Will Sasso as a big time writer. And Ari basically he likes Lloyd. He's got an attraction to Lloyd, and Ari is ready to sell Lloyd down the river for this. Do you remember when you got that script? Because let me just tell you the behind the scenes of that. Carolyn Strauss, who was the best executive I've ever worked with and was incredible, she read that script and she called me up and she said, Doug, I don't like it.
Oh, wow.
I do not like this. It's your show. I just want you to think about it. And I did. And I really spent a lot of time, and just for an afterthought, the Wall Street Journal, that was our show that got reviewed, said the show hit another level after that episode. So it worked. But in this PC culture now, when you got that script where you're supposed to be, you're the guy that is getting pimped out by your boss, like, did you have thoughts on that at that time about that or no?
I didn't. Whatever, 10 minutes ago you said I didn't really complain to you about anything. And I think the reason for that is that I always thought that my job as an actor was to come in and make it work. And by the way, I mean, I wasn't offended. I thought this is a really interesting situation where this character is pimping out that character, and it's in the script that I go to the gay club with the character Jay, whatever his last name was, and so I just thought, okay, how do I justify this? What's going on in Lloyd's mind that makes him willing to do this? And so it was interesting to me as an actor. I didn't care about it.
Yeah, and you guys, I mean, really, everyone should watch that episode because, today I don't know if they would even let us do it, but it's just the same reminder of that was based on stuff, and just like Mad Men did it, which won 20 Emmys, it was based on stuff that really happened in Hollywood, and we did it in a way that, Entourage style, that Ari was going to ultimately realize how wrong he was and come save the day, and hopefully you felt like, this love between Lloyd and Ari, which is always what the point was too.
What's your favorite episode? Now, again, I always say this, there's the two parts. Sometimes, like, my favorite episode was... one of my favorites was the mushroom episode, but I was miserable shooting it because I'm Irish and I don't like that kind of sun on my body. But the end result was great. So is there an episode that you like creatively, which is obviously probably season 2, episode 13, Exodus? I mean, Doug got nominated for an Emmy. It was like, that episode really put us up on another level. So I'm guessing that's probably one for you, right?
For sure.
But is there another episode that you like from just the Entourage world?
Well, I'm sorry to be not, imaginative, but the one you just mentioned, Dog Day Afternoon, that's one of my favorites.
What was Dog Day After? Oh, okay, yeah.
The one where
that was a good one. Right.
So I just got like some fan questions, which he wants to know how hard was it to keep a straight face with PIVEN? I mean, was it?
I've been asked that many times, and the honest truth is that it wasn't hard at all. I'm trying to be in the moment. You asked me if Rex was offended by anything I ever read. That's, not the case. But I, as a character, I'm like, why the fuck is my boss, telling me I'm Yoko Ono, So I was always very like in the moment and serious. And so there was part of me that was like, oh man, why is he saying this? Like I never was in touch with what was funny about it in the moment.
Right. So listen, unlike some other people, you're a real actor, because we had a talk with these guys how they couldn't stop laughing in a scene. I mean, they were drunk because they got fucking hammered on grippuccinos, but we were talking about the other day, but you took it seriously as a job, and which is great.
You saying I didn't take it seriously?
Did you train, Rex?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone, I'm trying to be a better actor every day. And
tell me a little bit, because I'm interested about your journey before that. I know you're working for the casting director. Where are you from?
I was born in Ohio, and then when I was a year old, my family moved to Boston. And then when we were 9, we moved to a suburb of LA. And then I went to college in Ohio, which is completely unrelated to the fact that I was born there. And I went to school for music. My degree is in music.
Why? Do you play?
I played piano in the past.
Right,
I have quit since. Right. And while I was at college, I thought, oh, I do not want to be a professional musician. What am I doing here? And I knew I had this impulse to be creative, and I took dance classes, and for like a split second, I was known as a dancer, and that was a really sad period. But then I took my very first acting class, and then I thought, oh, remember when you were 3 and you would like reenact the stuff you'd seen on TV the night before with your friends? Like, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And so I just, started taking acting classes. I moved back to LA after college, and I met this acting teacher who said, you don't have to go to drama school. You just have to learn how to act. And at the time, I thought that was the most profound thing I'd ever heard. I just need to learn how to act.
How do you do that?
Well, you just keep studying. And
That's the real trick now, isn't it, Doug?
I mean, I don't know if this is too inside baseball for you.
No, not at all.
listeners,
We love
but,
inside baseball.
I mean, I've definitely had moments in my life as an actor where I was like stuck and I just couldn't get better. And I was like, well, what do I do? What do I do? What's wrong? And I just kind of pushed through and kept trying things. And then I'd go up a level, and then I'd be stuck again, and then I'd get a little bit better. And
Yeah.
I have a question off topic, and we here at the Victory Podcast are a comedy podcast. If anybody, remind everybody.
I was worried about that because I was like, I'm not very funny.
You are funny, and
are
we
a
always have
comedy
Dillon when
Very
Connolly. When Connolly can't get the last, we have Dillon. So go ahead. kid.
Dylan, still all these years later. But somebody again, Rex. I don't know if this is true. Somebody. I don't know why they DM'd me this, but were you in Vegas for when the Vegas shooting happened?
Oh yeah, I was.
Can you tell us that story? Somebody said this to me on Instagram. I was like, I don't know. I was a
Wait,
little
hold on,
confused by it.
Kev. You got to set this up though.
The guy that talked to me said he basically was at a blackjack table with you when it happened, and he was claimed to have been sitting next to you or whatever it was. He was in the casino with you when the shots started, and he told me to ask you about that. So what? Wow, what happened?
Yeah, I go to Las Vegas a lot.
You're a gambler, or?
I play the slots.
Right. All right.
So yeah, I'm definitely a gambler.
Yeah.
And I happen to be in Las Vegas, and I have a favorite hotel and casino, which is the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. And so, I was quite a bit north of Mandalay Bay. But, there's just this moment when everyone's talking about, oh, there's a shooter down there. And then, people just panic. So a person came running into Cosmopolitan saying that the shooter was right behind her. I don't know what this man or woman heard, but they were convinced there was a shooter nearby.
Fear.
And so Cosmopolitan went into lockdown mode. They basically took everybody that was on the casino floor out. We went out this weird hallway that's normally reserved for employees, and then we went out into we were huddled by the fire station. And it was scary because we're all sort of in this weird enclosed area, and we thought if there are multiple shooters, there are these walkways above us, and it was like the perfect place for a shooter to be, and we're just ducks in a barrel. So it was scary. But eventually, they closed everything down and they let us back in, but we had to go up to a room. We couldn't gamble. And it was very, very scary, but, I guess in hindsight, there was really no reason because it was the shooting was far away.
Well, also too, was there like information trickling in? I mean, did you know? I mean, you obviously didn't know the severity of it, right? You knew, hey, there's an active shooter. They stuck us in this stairwell. But did you have any idea how? I mean, when you really think about it, it's crazy. That was a big, it's a big thing. Like, when did you find out how big it really was?
I think later that evening, like after a few hours or maybe the next day, we figured out it was huge and bad. But in the moment, so much of the information we were getting was just wrong. So whatever, I'm that kind of guy that's like, this thing that I'm hearing may or may not be true. Like I was trying to keep myself calm, and so I was trying to figure out if the information I was getting could be trusted or not.
But I think that's with any terrorist act. That's half the terror is lack of information, and fear can be obviously it's not as bad as being at that hotel, but when you don't know what's going on, I think that fear can grip you just as hard. So,
well, it's like you said, if there's, we know there's one shooter, if there were another one and he's up there, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
And in the moment, you don't know.
Right.
You just know there is a shooter, and then people are saying there are more shooters, and so you just got to say, well, if that's true, then maybe I'm in danger.
yeah. Well, thank God you're okay, and that was horrible. And I did think Connolly was trying to pimp out his other podcast that talks about the Biggie shooting, but I guess not. So
No, we're not talking about the dossier. That was not a dossier.
but
plug.
you really brought this fucking podcast
Well,
down
no,
to
but
a
I'm going to bring
fucking-
it back up because this is our another big question that Doug, you can speak on as well. Can we talk about Lloyd's car. Where did that come from? Whose idea? Who pulled the trigger on that one? I mean, it ended up working out. People love it, but we're getting a lot of questions on the IG about the car. So talk to me.
I mean, obviously, it's not a question for Rex, which I want to stay on Rex talking, but it was my idea. I thought that I don't know. There's something about Lloyd that was driving that car and the Fast and the Furious line that it wasn't that it just made me laugh. It was something that I saw in Rex Lloyd that I thought gave him this extra edge that you weren't expecting. And we spent a lot of time looking for the absolute right car.
You found it.
And that was it. Rex, do you remember that when you were like, what the fuck is this? Or what was your thought?
I didn't quite understand why that was the right car for Lloyd. Like, I just sort of looked at it and I thought, well, I guess I like that car.
So listen, that just like you said, it becomes I write a character, you come and take it over, and then it becomes really your character, but I'm trying to do it. So it would have been interesting if you did say to me, what is this? It's just something in me, whether it was in Rex or you, that I saw that it worked. And it's funny.
I don't know how to drive stick shift. And so like the guy that owned the car was like, anytime the car had to be in motion, he was driving it. So if you look really closely at that episode, you can see this blonde guy in the driver's seat, and then the next shot, I'm there.
That's funny.
But Rex, did you figure it out when you show up on set and you're like, did you know going into the day, or did you see it at base camp earlier?
Well, the line's in the script. The Fast and the Furious line is in the script. So
yeah, I mean, I saw the script, didn't know what the car was going to be, and then when I saw it, I didn't get it, but I understood it was funny. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Well, I have no idea if I made the right choice with the car. What I can tell you is I have heard that line echoed back to me, the Fast and the Furious line, for 15 years. I mean, everybody talks about that. And again, I think all of the combo of it, maybe it wasn't the right car, but the combo of you and Jeremy in that scene was magical to me. And I remember when we were shooting it going, fuck, like, I don't know if anybody's ever going to give us credit for this, but this feels really special to me. So it was great.
Also, too, when that episode aired, I felt a jump, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, the town certainly appreciated it, and even Ari Emanuel, the real Ari, had called me and said, how do you know some of these details? Because the real Ari had left CAA kind of in a coup in the middle of the night. And I really, obviously Steve Levinson, was helpful in knowing this, but there were just things that I somehow ingested. Even the Hamburger Hamlet where we shot, Ari said, was where he had his meeting. The whole thing was just weird.
Wow.
But, some
it's
things...
too bad Dillon couldn't get in that episode. Light episode for Dillon.
Let's get a little Kevin Dillon and Rex going, because ultimately Lloyd represented Johnny Drama. You guys go a little without me about some of your scenes that you had together that have nothing to do with Kevin Connolly.
My favorite episode is Rex was in it big time when I went to the Grand Canyon, and I'm pretty much suicidal at that stage. And then you tell me, no, Johnny, it's great. You got the job. What was it, 5 towns? It was 5 towns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which led to victory.
That was a great moment.
Which led to victory, which brings us here today.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yeah, that was that the first? That was the 3rd victory, I believe.
Oh, sorry.
That was the big one, though, at the Canyon. So
the
Rex,
Comic-Con, that was the big one, though. That was a real big payoff.
Well, that was the fucking dawn of screaming at the top of the world. That's the big one.
what do you
Biggest-
remember about working with Kevin Dillon, Rex?
For years, the fans would say, don't you want a promotion? And I thought, I really don't. I'd gotten so used to working with Jeremy that I was like, I don't want Lloyd to ever get a promotion. I want him to always be under Ari's, foot.
Right.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen, and I didn't complain about it.
Right.
I agree with that, too. Same thing with Johnny Drama. It's more fun to actually watch him struggle
Yeah.
than have too much success,
But once I saw where the story was going and I made my peace with it, I thought, okay, my new scene partner is Kevin Dillon, and that's not a step down. That's, that's a lateral move.
It's a lateral move.
Yeah.
The
It's not
lateral
like you got
move.
stuck with Grenier or I.
No, that wasn't what I meant to imply.
It's interesting because I remember the first thing between you guys was like, Drama walks in, who is this old school.
Get me a Fanta. Get me a Welch's grape
No,
soda.
yeah, I think it was cream soda.
But do you remember how
Was it cream soda?
do you remember how
cream
mad
soda.
you were though that like Ari's supposed to have a hot assistant? This is bullshit.
Yeah.
And someone says, I don't know, was it your line, Connolly?
If it was a boring line, yeah.
No, you were like, a lot of people
No, it
probably
was
think he is
Adrian's
hot.
line.
Oh, what does he say?
Adrian's line. Some people think he is hot.
Right, and he's not doing that sarcastically. He's kind of giving you the way of the future, because I look at that scene and I remember it's almost like Johnny Drama is almost like Archie Bunker in that moment, where he really is. He's not ready for the new world that is coming. I'm serious about that. And I don't know if you were playing it like that, Kevin, or not, but it does. You could look at it like part of you was like, there should be a hot assistant, and part of you doesn't really understand how quickly the world is changing, but whatever. Anyway.
Well, I remember talking to you about it, Doug, and I was like, I feel like this line, it just makes Johnny Drama look really bad in a way. Why am I being so mean to this guy? And you're like, because you think he should have a hot assistant. Bottom line. He's a big wig, should have a hot assistant. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
I think it is. Johnny Drama was freaking old school. And like walking in, I don't know. Is it not the Welch's grape soda moment? Is that not it?
That was the moment, but I can't remember what the soda was.
If it was grape soda or cream soda.
No, but there was a moment which Rob Weiss came up with this, which was
somebody tossing and turning tonight, trying to figure out if it's cream.
No, but it was so
Welch's.
funny. Rob Weiss came up with this, where he was just like, he walks in and orders, like, asks for a drink, and he orders something that's so stupid and obscure that there's no way it's like on hand. You know what I mean? So,
we have a lot of actors that listen to the podcast, and I think it's important to kind of mention, Doug, you and I have talked about this. Rex, aside from your story of sort of being in the trenches as an assistant, as a commercial casting director, which most people don't realize, that's a zoo, right? Massive people, moms, kids, screaming loud, just mayhem in a commercial casting director office. And, in the prior season, Ari had an assistant, and, it, for one reason or another, it didn't work out. And then enter Rex Lee. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was just sort of meant to be.
Because you referenced Samira, who played Emily.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
let's talk about that. Yeah.
Emily's first line in season 1, episode 1 is, "Hi, I'm Emily, Ari's new assistant." And my first line in season 2, episode 1 is, "Hi, I'm Lloyd, Ari's new assistant." And I thought that was the running joke, that every season he'd have a new assistant. And so in season 2, I was like, I better do the best job I can and make these people not want to get rid of me.
It just is one of those things where sometimes like character pops and it doesn't. But I guess my point is to actors is that it just was meant to be, right? It's hard to imagine, it's hard to imagine.
It was meant to be. I had an agenda, which was do everything I can not to get fired. Yeah.
Right.
there is no question, Rex, by the way, that was the plan. The plan was to keep having him replace assistants because he couldn't deal with them. And again, that's for actors to know. You come in and you crush it like you did.
My first audition for Entourage was on a Tuesday, and the callback was 2 days later on a Thursday. So I go in, and Doug and Larry Charles are on this very low couch. And the whole time I was auditioning, they were giggling. Like, they would not stop giggling. And I was like, whatever. Sometimes I'm like, oh, my God, they hate me. They're laughing at me. But for some reason, I knew they thought I was funny. And I always said, if I don't get this job, that's going to be a really nice memory. It's way better that I got the job.
Right.
Trust me. And it's even better a memory, but I just remember them just giggling their asses off.
But you knew that they thought you were funny.
I knew they thought I was funny, and that made me feel good.
Right.
So did you go home that night and say, I think I got this. I think I crushed it. I don't know.
I felt great about it. I felt like I had a chance. As I said, that was a Thursday. That was the Thursday before Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And so what came my way immediately was like, they're going to take their time and enjoy their holiday. So you have to wait 2 weeks at least to find out if you got it or you didn't get it.
You waited 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Happy Thanksgiving, Doug.
Did you enjoy your holiday, Doug, is the question.
You know what? I don't know. I'm telling you, I have no idea how that went down. I know that the second Rex opened his mouth, which has only happened a couple of times, and Kevin Dillon was one of them, I was like, fuck, this is going to be like good. Again, I couldn't promise that him and Jeremy would work together. How do I know? But whatever was written for you for that audition, which I don't know, was there a lot of material for the audition or no?
It was 2 scenes. It was the scene from episode 1 where the boys come in and he orders the Diet Cream Soda. And then a scene from episode 4 where Ari comes off the elevator and I'm basically like filling him in and saying, Peter Cole covers this and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
It's nice.
Actually, that's a really good memory too, shooting that scene, because Jeremy is not that much taller than me, but he's a little bit taller than me. So he was, doing his thing. He's all right. He strides off the elevator and he's walking. And for me to keep up with him, I kind of had to trot. And so we do the first take, and then the crew just busted out laughing. And I was like, what? And they're like, you're fucking funny. I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. I like this.
I mean, I have so many memories of you and Jeremy moving through that office, like where you're trying to keep up with him. And you're both great. All right, guys, Jeremy PIVEN
Special guest.
Look at this. Oh,
Yeah.
Look at the idyllic setting he has going on. Oh, there's Mike Tyson.
Oh my God, is he with Mike Tyson?
Dillon.
Hey, Mike.
Well, this is unbelievable.
How you guys doing?
Good. What's up?
Doing good.
Mike wanted to say hello.
What's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy?
Good, Doug.
You too. You
We
too.
got old. Did we grow old?
I don't know what happened, man. First of all,
I remember we were little kids.
you
right.
did not grow old because I couldn't believe what you looked like in the ring. That was unbelievable, man. And
Thank you, Doug.
I'm glad you didn't hurt him because I really did think you were going to hurt him. I really did. So
It wasn't worth it. Everything is good and beautiful.
this is such an amazing combo. I don't want to forget about Rex, but what are you guys doing together? Why are you together?
We're hanging out. We're doing podcasts together.
Podcasts are pretty cool.
What do you
Yeah.
mean? You're a podcast duo? I got fucking Connolly and you got Mike Tyson?
If you're looking for a home.
Listen, Doug, we just do what we can. That's all we can do.
You look great, Mike, and we need to get you on this podcast so we can talk about your Entourage experiences as well.
Hey, not even that. We can put me and start a new Entourage experience.
Done.
There we go.
Done.
There we go.
What are you guys doing, really? Is this a podcast for you together, or are you on Mike's podcast?
I'm hanging out with Mike. We're doing some podcasts together.
We've been together, so I guess it's our podcast.
I love it. I hope I had something to do with putting this together in some small way.
You know you did.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
I love
And
it.
also, we love Rex Lee, and I miss him, and I want to come and do your show in person with Rex, if that's okay.
That would be freaking awesome.
yeah.
So you guys be good, and Mike, I'm going to reach out to you and get
can't
you on
wait.
this.
And I'm gonna touch you, brother. Just reach out. I'll touch.
I love it. Stay
All right.
safe. Stay safe, boys.
Take it easy, Mike.
Reach out and
Jeremy.
touch.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Later,
Bye.
guys.
We can make this world better if we can.
I mean, if that's not an Entourage moment right there, Rex, I mean, I don't know
Well,
what to say.
I think the rival
Yeah.
of the two of them made this the best episode ever, and it's my episode.
I
By the
do
way,
as well.
what-
Yeah, your episode, exactly.
Can
Big
I-
reunion episode.
Can I ask a question? What planet am I on right now?
I mean, was that awesome?
Just happened. Bro.
I mean, Rex, I just like an aside thing. People would always say, why were there so many cameos on Entourage? And I said, because that's the life. Like when I walked into, Mark Wahlberg said to come over and screen the movie for a couple of his friends. And I walk in, Kevin Durant is sitting on a chair like it's no big deal. I forget who else was there, but the point is that's the life. And Jeremy's hanging out with Mike Tyson, which I'm kind of jealous about right now. I don't know what's going on there, but
Don't think I didn't hear that comment. You got Mike Tyson and I got Connolly. I heard.
well,
By the way, I might ship you and Dillon out and bring in Jeremy PIVEN and Mike Tyson for the Victory podcast. Victory still works for Mike Tyson.
They seem
My
so
guess
happy.
is that Mike's doing the podcast and Jeremy's kind of providing comedic color on the side, right? I mean,
Yeah.
is that a weird thing that I said? Does that sound weird? You know what I mean.
I don't know, but I'm a little that was awesome. And as I said, I did a pilot with Mike Tyson many
you
years
said
ago.
that. You said
I'm
that.
sorry, it's
Couple
like,
times.
what can I tell you? So I don't know. I'm good. I think
I'm
we've
good. This is amazing. By the way, I'm still sort of in shock.
Yeah.
But I think we do. I think we gotta get, eventually when schedules let it happen. I think we got to get them together on the podcast, maybe when COVID
Yes.
lifts. And
Yes.
but it'd be fun to do a reunion with all of us.
Yeah, but Rex, we can't thank you enough for coming
Thank
in.
you
This
so
was
much.
really a lot of fun and great to see you. And
Thanks.
You got to come back too, Rex. We got to have you back again.
Today, as we record this is the 16th anniversary of my first day of shooting on Entourage.
What?
16 years ago today was
Meant to
my
be.
first day shooting.
Rex,
I figured that out by accident yesterday.
I'm really That's so depressing to me. You said that.
And
Rex,
we're all excited, like, wow, that's amazing. Doug's like, that's so depressing.
Well, no.
well, I do want to say one thing to Rex though. It's 16 years later, and I'm on this 6-week push-up act. Do I look more muscular than when the show was going?
You look skinnier to me. I don't know if
Fuck,
that's.
he's depressed.
I noticed when you leaned back, Doug, you really stuck the chest out a little bit there.
I'm not
Look at the
sticking it out.
python.
This is just natural. This
He's
is all
depressed.
There's no.
Yeah, you got
sticking
padding under there. You got to.
All right. Well, I'm
You got
telling you,
some
by the
big
time
muscles.
I'm saying this to everybody right now, by the time
pot.
Rex Lee comes back, I'm putting on an extra 10 pounds of muscle. So and I'm gonna blow Tyson
You're going to
away
start
as well.
throwing Connolly around?
Yeah.
Oh well, that's
Not
come on,
anytime soon.
that's silly. That's fucking silly right
Not
there.
anytime soon.
I don't need the push-up
You
act
better
for
do
Connolly.
2 apps.
Anyway, Rex, we love you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
The podcast is
took a
got
twist.
It's
It took
got
a
some
twist.
excitement going on, but that was awesome. Follow Rex Lee at Rex WRECKSLEE
Yeah.
on Instagram, and follow Dillon and wish him well. He's feeling good and looking good. And follow the Victory the Podcast
Holy
page. Give us a good review, and we'll be back next week.
Victory the podcast. Thank you.
KD, actually, Rex Lee. We got to get Rex Lee to give us.
Come
a
on, let's do
little-
a victory, Rex.
Wait, hold
You
on.
and
Let me
me.
get this too.
On 3.
Rex- By the way,
For
Rex
whatever it's
doesn't.
worth,
He's
they
never
did it for- they
listened.
did
One.
made PIVEN.
2, 3.
Victory!